What's going on, people? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at some footage which comes from blessed Europe, which is going to show officers dealing with a man who is failing to stop for them when being signalled on a moped, and how a little bit of risky manoeuvring by an officer bounces him off and they bring this man into custody. Without any further ado, let's get straight into the video.
Yeah.
So it's a very short video today. This is just going to show a man making off from officers, and as you can see on the video, boop, he is off the bike, and then for some reason, rather than run away on foot, which would have a better chance of getting away in that circumstance, he tries to get back on the bike, which I think is a bit dim, but hey ho, some criminals are very, very dim. He gets taken into custody. I was looking at some comments on Reddit about this video, and a lot of the American cops were shocked because they see UK cops and European cops being applauded for booping people off mopeds, and they think to themselves, if we tried this in the USA with any subject, we would be basically told that we're trying to murder someone and literally have the book thrown at us. And my understanding is that's probably because members of the public inside America probably don't see moped crime as such a major issue as we do inside the UK. And I've got a point to this, there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. Inside the UK, we've had plenty of instances, I'm not sure about the rest of Europe, but certainly inside London, there was a massive wave of crime where individuals were robbing people on the backs of mopeds and snatching phones, and because of how risk adverse at times the UK police could be, they knew they could get away with it simply by taking their helmets off. They would ride a motorcycle, swing an axe, they would attack people with weapons, steal their phones in broad daylight, knowing that if a police officer gets behind me, I'll just take off my helmet, and then copper, if you kill me, if I die, you don't even have to touch me. If I crash this vehicle because you chased me, you might end up getting locked up for dangerous drive. You might end up getting locked up for misconduct in a public office. You'll be held accountable for me crashing this motorcycle or moped. So that's what they'll do, they'll take off their helmets. So eventually it came to a point where, rather than it being seen as a taboo for police officers to, you know, use a bit of extra force by booping these people off of their mopeds, the public had a hunger for it. They were saying, this can't go on, this is in the public's interest, this is what we want you to knock these guys off these mopeds, because there's nothing else you can do. You can't pepper spray them at that distance, we don't want you to shoot them, and every time you chase after them they take their helmets off, so when these vehicles slow down a little bit, boop them off, that's fine. Under Section 3 of the Criminal Law Act, an officer may use as much force as is reasonable in the circumstances to arrest an offender, a suspected offender, or someone unlawfully at large. So all along, these officers had the option. Even when it was taboo inside the UK, these officers had the option. You've just committed a robbery, I can use as much force as is reasonable. They could have knocked him off the bike before, but the key word is reasonable. If an officer went to court and was standing on the stand, a jury and a judge may see that the officer was unreasonable in those circumstances to knock this individual off and cause them whatever injury that may be. After crime rose and the public thought, oh, there's nothing the police can do about it, things changed, and upper management must have got the idea that actually the public see this to be reasonable, and that's how things changed. The reason why I bring up this point is because a lot of the time around the world, use of force doesn't actually go down to what's morally right or wrong. It goes down to the public's perception of that use of force. We see videos of officers punching people and people say, no, it should never happen. I don't care what they've done. It should never happen. Disgusting. Sack that officer. Put him in prison. I hope he gets banged up forever. I never want to see him again. But then we see another video of a copper, let's say in another country, and they'll be beating a paedophile with sticks or a rapist with sticks on the street, or it'll be mob justice where they're beating someone down. And you will have the same Western audience saying, he's a paedophile, great, wonderful, bring back capital punishment, kill him, kill him, kill him. It was never really about the law. It was based on the subjective morals of the culture. It was based on the morals which shift and change of the public and wherever we live. That's the reason why in America you guys probably wouldn't get away with booping someone off a moped, even though you guys take more risks than we would inside the UK. But then we do things like this. on quite a semi-regular basis and around other parts of the country, it's because simply our public have backed us and said, oh yeah, that's acceptable. I've got no doubt that in a few years the public's perception of certain things may change. Maybe it's when knife crime gets to a certain peak. Maybe it's when gun crime gets to a certain peak. Maybe when certain other offences, theft offences or burglary offences get to a certain peak. Or if criminals started to rampage on to the point that normal people couldn't live their lives. Maybe the people would hunger for it to be like back in the 80s, where officers would bring someone who was being a bit aggressive or a bit disrespectful around the corner. Now around the world they're still doing the same now, but back in the 80s, I'm not going to put any names, but I've been told by officers that when they joined, the officers who taught them would bring people out of their houses if it was a domestic, and they'd beaten up their wife. They would drag a man out of the house, and rather than arrest him, they would say, oh, darling, do you want him arrested? And they're like, no, because he'll beat me up. Right then, rather than arrest him, we'll teach him a lesson then. They would put him in the back of the car, drive him off into the woods, and give him the thump down. They'll give him the beat down, headbutts, knees, elbows, everything. They would run him out, beat him down, they'd fold him up like a lawn chair, and they'll leave him in the middle of nowhere, and they'd say, mate, if we come back, you're going to get the same again and again and again. But because culture was different back then, people thought, well, you beat it, your missus, that's reasonable. I wonder if in the future things will change back to a point where they see that crime has got so rampant, they accept the police doing things which now we would see as barbaric or unconventional. We look at officers in India during the COVID-19 lockdown beating people with sticks on the street because they're not abiding by rules. So when people try to make use of force an objective moral issue, this is objectively wrong or this is objectively right, that just isn't the case. It all depends on you guys, the member of the public, and how your morals shift and change. Anyway guys, tell me what you guys think. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. I'll be back with another video soon. Thank you and peace.